The U.S.'s foreign surveillance powers are set to expire today. The House rejected a short-term FISA extension Thursday, as some lawmakers oppose President Trump's interim pick for Director of National Intelligence, Bill Pulte. Shortly after that vote, the president nominated U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton to take on the role permanently. Here's what we heard from lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
I've never been a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but that Tulsi Gabbard would stay in place until Mr. Clayton was confirmed. We have a path out.
I don't know Jay Clayton, but I was quite certain the acting guy wasn't going to cut it. Shall we say Pulte.
CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis joins me now. And Olivia, with FISA set to lapse, what impact could that have?
Sure. Well, what FISA 702 does at a basic level is to allow the government to acquire information about the communications frequency, the content of non-U.S. persons outside of the United States without a warrant. So hypothetically, if you're targeting two foreign spies or terrorists who are using Gmail or WhatsApp to talk to each other and conceive a plot, rather than having to seek a warrant, the government can compel the providers of those services, Google or Meta, to hand over those communications of those individuals for national security purposes. What makes it controversial, as you well know, Nicole, is that sometimes those foreign individuals could be discussing a U.S. person whose information is then incidentally collected by the U.S. government, even if they're not a surveillance target, which is why it's such a controversial authority that lawmakers have sought to amend.
And that being said, is there any precedent for this provision expiring like this? And is it a national security threat?
No, and what makes the expiration potentially, if it's so consequential, is that it's not just a collection tool, it's the legal architecture underpinning the cooperation between the government and those tech and telecom companies. What they are standing to lose now is the liability protections that have shielded them when they comply with the government requests for that content. It used to be phone calls and then text messages, and now it extends to a whole lot of things, including what's in the cloud, what's in data centers, other internet infrastructure that is increasingly used in intelligence collection. So it's the grayness of that legality that is really problematic. Companies now could sue in order to refuse to comply with the government's requests. They could comply and then expose themselves to lawsuits from other parties, or they could be opened up to foreign regulatory scrutiny from overseas, EU and the like. So it's very much a Pandora's box from a legal perspective now that this is lapsing.
And we mentioned earlier how lawmakers have kind of tied extending FISA's powers with who's in charge of DNI. Should those two things go hand in hand?
I think in a perfect world, obviously not, because of how essential this authority is. Much of the president's daily brief comes from FISA-related material. But for better or worse, lawmakers saw that this was their best opportunity to extract a meaningful concession from the White House in the form of the controversial pick of Bill Pulte. What I think no doubt all sides are hoping for now is that 702 is reauthorized in very short order. As you know, Clayton's confirmation hearing was put on the calendar in a hurry and is slated for next week, Wednesday, before the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Yeah, that's right, although the House won't be back for another week after that. So we'll see how things play out. Olivia Gazis, thank you so much.
Thank you.